Hi guys, welcome back. It's Marissa here. So today we're talking about the number one thing that comes up with all content marketing questions, and I bet you already know what I'm going to say. I can hear it. I know your wheels are spinning, and I know you're going to read my mind when I say today we're talking about niching. So stay tuned and we'll be getting into everything you need to know about how to define your ideal client and how to pick a niche. Hey guys, welcome back. You guessed it, today we're talking about niching. Now, for some of you, you guys say niche, and you got some really cool phrases like make your niche your bitch and the riches are in the niches. Well, I say niche, so the only cool thing I could come up with was nail your niche. So today that's what we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to take you guys through my 5-step signature process of nailing your niche. Now, as I was recording this video and thinking about things, there's some alternative steps to doing this, or there's some alternative methods of doing this. And so there'll be more videos coming about niching for those of you who maybe are what we call multi-passionate and see more than one type of client, for those of you who have a therapeutic modality that sees many different demographics of people. So this video is going to be kind of about my 5-step system for kind of a basic niche. This is a really, really great place to start if you're struggling with identifying your ideal client. But know that if you're a few steps ahead of this and you're wanting to do some different stuff, I'll be coming out with more videos soon that talk about some of the deeper strategies. But today we're starting just at the basics. So I want to put to bed some worries and some fears and some skeptics when it comes to niching. Because the first thing that I hear whenever we talk about picking an ideal client is, why would I turn people away? And this is especially common for those of us who are still at the building stages or the growth stages, and we say, we have so many goals for our practice and we have so many income needs, why would I turn clients away? And for that, I want to kind of preface this with, just because you've picked a niche to market to does not mean that those are the only clients that you will see in session. And it also doesn't mean that by picking a niche, you won't attract even more clients. And we'll get to that, and I'll show you how that part works in a few. But there is something to be said about starting very, very narrow. We want to start with a pinpoint. Once we have a pinpoint niche, it's like dropping a little stone in the water. It starts very, very narrow, and then the ripples spread outwards. And I'm going to explain that to you guys as we go further. But for marketing purposes, it is important to speak to an ideal client. Now, when I talk about this, a lot of people say, well, if I'm talking to one person in my marketing, aren't I going to turn a lot of people away? Aren't people going to be like, I'm not that person, whoever you're talking to, so why is this for me? And that's correct. The answer is yes. Undoubtedly, yes. When you use niche marketing, you are going to repel more people than you attract. If you're talking to 10% of the population, you can expect 90% of the population to not resonate with you. And that's okay, because that means that those 10 people who do resonate with you are your people, and they are going to love you and be loyal to you, know, like, and trust you, and just be forever grateful for you because you understand them and you speak to them and you know their language and you know their struggles. Now, if you are at a building stage and you're like, I can't turn clients away, I need 3 more clients this week to pay my electric bill, which is probably a pretty high electric bill, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I need 3 more clients this week to just pay my bills. So I'm not turning anyone away. That's fine. Just because you're marketing does not mean you're not going to get referrals from other sources. Does not mean that people aren't still going to call you. I've had people who have a pink website and they speak specifically, they use very effeminate language, and they have male clients. So just because you're marketing to somebody doesn't mean that you won't see other people. The point of niche marketing is to make sure that you have an ideal caseload. one that lights you up, that you're excited to get to work to. And maybe at this point in your practice, you only have maybe 1 or 2 of those ideal clients, and they help you get through the ones that, you know, are not your favorites, or you're not ready to refer out yet. And that's fine. There's still that light, that spark, that zest in those clients. And if you start marketing now and start marketing to your niche now, as your existing caseload is ready to terminate and ready to transition, you will have people waiting in the wings that meet your ideal client profile, that do fit your niche, and they will slowly kind of fit in. So I see it as this kind of transition, you know, like, I don't know why my hands are doing that, but maybe that means something to you, because that's what I want to do. So your clients will come and go, but if you start niching now, the new ones that come will fit that profile. So that's kind of what I want to get out there today, is niching is so important in your marketing, just because you know who you're talking to. And I'll show you some examples of this stuff and how it's really important. So why don't we just go ahead and jump into the 5 steps of my process. Okay, so we're talking about the 5 steps to nailing your niche. And this is kind of like my signature process that I'm known for, of helping people really dig deep into a niche. Now, I want to talk about this in a sense of, when clients come to session, a lot of times they're talking to us in content. This happened on Wednesday, and this is the facts, and this is what happened, right? They're in content. And it's our job to bring them from content down into process. What was that like for you? How did you experience that, right? And so we get them from in their heads, in the factual stuff, down into the feelings, the thoughts, the behaviors, whatever is underneath all of that. And we're really, really good at that. So when people talk about how it's difficult to nail a niche, I tell them you already have every skill set you need to nail a niche. It's the exact same thing. We are starting with a broad category of people, and we're digging deeper into the process, and finally ending up at a narrow niche. And I'll show you how this works. So the first thing that we do is we can pick something broad. I'm going to go through a couple of different examples and show you how this works. Some of these are just going to be off the top of my head, so bear with me if they kind of seem take a little longer for me to get there. Let's go ahead and say you want to see women. So that's step 1, women. And maybe you throw an age range on that. You know you do not like working with adolescents or young adults, and you also know that you do not like working with people over middle age, so you're saying 25 to 45. Okay, so there's your second level. And then you say, okay, I really love working with clients who have anxiety. Okay, 3. I'm going to do it like this. That shows better. 3. This is where most people stop. 1, 2, 3. Okay, but here's why this isn't going to work for marketing purposes. Woman, 25 to 45, anxiety. Okay, why is she anxious? Is she anxious because she's a rape survivor, and now she's got social anxiety and she's terrified, and maybe even a bit of PTSD? Is she anxious because she just had a baby and she has no idea what she's doing, and maybe she even is so far as having some postpartum anxiety? Is she 25 to 45 and anxious because she just got a huge promotion at work and she feels imposter syndrome, right? Those are like completely different scenarios, completely different client profiles, and we would talk to each one of them very differently, right? The CEO or the person who just got promoted, we're going to talk to them very empowering. Like, you go get it, girl. The rape survivor, probably not going to talk to them that way, right? So that's why level 4 and 5 are so important. So let's say it is a female, 25 to 45. She's anxious because she just got a huge promotion at work. That's 4. And she's feeling imposter syndrome. 5. Okay, so you see how levels 4 and 5 are really where it's at? That's where the niching is at. This part is easy. The 1, 2, 3 is easy, and that's where most of us stop. So we need to go to 4 and 5 to really start knowing who we're talking to. Another great example of this, I'm going to give you an example of the niche, and then I'm also going to show you how it can ripple out from there. So another really great example of this, I use this one a lot, is teenagers. That's number 1. So we've got an age range already. We're talking, and this is pretty narrow, we're talking 13 to 19. That's a teenager, right? But we're not specifying male or female. We're not going that way. This could be a 14-year-old girl. This could be an 18-year-old boy. Doesn't matter. Okay. And all of a sudden, this teenager, their grades started tanking, right? Out of the blue. They used to be an A/B student. Now all of a sudden, they can't pass a class, right? So that's a big change. And their grades are tanking because they have test anxiety. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is even more narrow than the one we started with the women and the age and the anxiety. We at least know that test anxiety. So every time they're sitting down to take a test, they're freezing, they can't remember anything, maybe they even studied for hours, and they're still flunking their test. All right, so that's 3. But now let's take it 2 more and see how we can really see how this starts to work. So number 4, they have test anxiety because their sibling just graduated from Harvard or Princeton or Yale or Stanford, summa cum laude, and they're terrified about getting into a good college. Okay, so now we can see 5 levels here. Teenager, grades just tanked. They can't seem to pass a test because they can't focus. They're so anxious. They're anxious because they have a super duper high achieving sibling, and they have no idea how they're going to live up to that siblings or the expectations that their parents now have. And they don't even know if they're going to go to like clown college, let alone Harvard, right? So we can see how getting that much more specific, going 5 levels, now we know how to talk to this kid. But I want to talk about the ripple effect too, because once we know how to talk to this kid over here, who else do we know how to talk to? We now know how to talk to the sibling who feels completely guilty because they are high achieving and it's impacting their family. They're like, okay, so I've got to be not smart. I've got to be not good at what I do because it impacts my family. So now we know how to talk to the sibling. Now, and we also know how to talk to the parents. You have one sibling who's high achieving, or one child who's high achieving, and one who's struggling. How's the parent feeling? Is the parent feeling guilty? Is the parent feeling worried? Is the parent feeling whatever? But this is the way that we can ripple out from a niche. But we first have to get super, super specific and very good at talking to that narrow person, that narrow ideal client, that narrow profile. Once we have that profile, we can then start to spread out. So I hope that this has kind of been inspiring for you, gotten your juices flowing about niching. If you want to chat through a specific niche or see how can we get this further, how can I go deeper, how can I get to the core of my clients' problems, then reach out to me and we'll chat through it. We can always jump on a call. We can always go email each other back and forth. Whatever you think would help you define your niche. And if you have some juices flowing and you're excited to get started with this, I've given you guys a worksheet. So just click the button below and you can grab that free worksheet. And there's a couple of different places to just scratch out some ideas of who you want to be working with and who your ideal client might be. And you can bring it down 5 levels. So I hope that this resonated with you guys. I hope this gives you a little bit more reason of why you do need to start marketing to a niche, and a really simple way to do it, and also just some excitement about how a niche can turn into even bigger things for you guys. So let me know if you ever have any questions.